Incredibly authentic. The mission of TrueGotham.com was to really raise the bar in my industry. Talk about a big ego, like I was going to raise the bar with my little blog. But that was really my mission. And I have maintained an honest voice with integrity. And I have kind of the same attitude as Rick has. If people don't want, one of the reasons I switched from bombarding people with 25,000 postcards a month, you know, bombarding a mailing list of 25,000 to the blog was that if people don't want to read my blog, they don't have to read it. Now, it's remarkable how many people are irritated by what you write, and they're there every day commenting on what you wrote. But, you know, bring it on. I just think that people can smell a rat. And if you're not true to who you are, and if you're not writing, you know, from a place that is who you are, they're going to sense it quickly, and you won't have readers.
I'm just curious. I mean, how many people in the audience have ever read Clue Train Manifesto? Just show of hands. What? The Clue Train Manifesto. Okay, so here's my entire contribution to this evening. If you do nothing else, go home tonight. It's a free online book. You can read it, or you can buy it off Amazon really cheap. Please go read the Clue Train Manifesto. A lot of what we're talking about here about authenticity, openness, honesty, these things are sort of pre-internet in some ways. And the insights of that particular document, what came out of it, forms what we are dealing with from a social media standpoint. And here's what it comes down to. And I have 2 points to make about it. One is, at an individual level, if you are inauthentic, people will sniff it out. And I believe the reason, quite frankly, is because we all grew up on advertising and marketing. Seriously, I mean, I can't remember the first age at which I saw an ad, right, or it was marketed to. We've all grown up on it. We can sniff it out at 1,000 paces. I don't care how you disguise your listing or your marketing message, I will sniff it out. And if I sniff it out, then the trust goes right out the window. Whereas if people are authentic and just genuine and honest about who they are, that's somebody I want to connect with. Commerce is it's a natural part of human life. People want to do business. They want to talk to other people who can provide them services and goods. And even real estate, I want to find a realtor that could help me find the house or sell my house. This is a need. What I don't want is to be BS'd. I don't want to be marketed to. I don't want to be talked down to. A lot of those things are discussed in Clue Train, so I just recommend you please go read it. The second point is this. Any brokers in the room? Brokerage owners? So here's your big challenge. One of the things about Clue Train is everybody's networked inside your company, and they're networking with people outside of it. Okay? And they're building a personal brand that are being authentic and honest as an individual. The question is, what does your brand, your brokerage, stand for? Are you putting walls in their way? Or are you enabling them to connect, and where your brand or your brokerage actually has some meaning in this whole social networked world? I feel like year after year, I've been seeing this since about 1998. That seems to be the major challenge of every organization, every company in the world at this point, is how do you make that transition from a top-down corporate culture where the brand manager, the CEO, is driving down the message and driving down here's the way it should be, and the new network world, right, which is made possible in some cases by technology, and in some cases enabled by the fact that we all grew up listening to marketing. So to the agents in the room, I guess it really comes down to understanding what that authenticity might mean. It could mean run-on sentences. I think what it means to be a good writer on the internet has totally changed because of Clue Train. For the brokers and the owners, I think the real challenge is what is your brand, what does your company stand for, what does it mean when really the people inside your company are networking people outside of it. So, and I think those are the big challenges to really think about in the social media future, especially for real estate.
The other thing I would add to that point is you can't be all things to all people. So if you are authentic, you're going to attract people who like who you are, and that's who you want to work with anyway. You know, so you know, I think you can't operate from a place of fear. When I update something on Facebook or Twitter, it's either what I'm thinking about right now. It doesn't have to be real estate related. And the people who want to follow me, and those who don't. But the people that are following me are calling me when they want to buy or sell a home. That's what's important to me.
Is there anything else that you guys would give as just one really strong piece of advice as all of this world has changed?
Well, actually, the thing for me was to develop a thicker skin because, you know, in my world, when I say something and, you know, I'm around my kids, you know, they listen to every word that I say. And, but when you're posting your commentary, you really, you know, there are people that just, no matter what you say, will never agree with you. And I remember during the height, sort of maybe a year after I started writing my blogs, I was accused of being part of the real estate industrial complex. And so I went out and bought that domain. I thought it was really cool, and I talked about it. And I'm not called that anymore, although after this I probably will. But you know, and then I would have people sort of jump into these, you know, like I'll write for Curbed and some other sites as well, besides mine, and people would jump in and try to stick up for me or defend me, and you know, because they're defending my sort of, you know, my whoever I am, they're sticking up for me and against all the anonymous people that are attacking me because housing prices are rising or falling. And I think that's really cool. And you kind of have to sometimes just step back and let it happen and let it take on a sort of a life of its own. And because what you're doing is creating a dialogue around what you had entered into the conversation initially. And I just, instead of trying to manage and control it and, oh, you said something bad about me and all that stuff, I think that's with social networking, I think that's a big fear of a lot of people, especially blogging comments, is that people are afraid of being criticized. And you know what it does? It makes you better. You know, for a simple example would be, you know, I am sort of, I love posting charts about things, about the market and whatever. And I'll have people in the beginning were just completely crucifying me because I was using a certain style, the font wasn't clear or whatever, you know, gradient coloring and I mean, all kinds of stuff. And it ended up making my charts a lot better because I listened to them and they were right. So, you know, I've learned a lot from, you know, the feedback that I've gotten, whether it's been good or bad.
Also, if you're honest and you're coming from a place of integrity, your readers, when they read the negative comments, they see through a lot of that stuff. In fact, there was an entire comment stream on StreetEasy recently that was just lambasting me. I was a sleazy broker and I'm spinning the market and this, that, and the other thing. And somebody said there were a few really nasty comments, and I started to take it personally. And I went on a marketing presentation to meet with a seller, and I said, "How did you find out about me?" And she said, "Oh, I read that crazy stream of comments on StreetEasy." And I thought, you must be something else if people are, you know. So I got business from these nut jobs. And if, the other thing you'll notice if you end up blogging or getting into that arena, you'll notice that it's the same commenters all over the place. They're on his blog, my blog, Curbed, and they're the same. They don't even change their screen name. It's the same people just spewing hate, and it's all hours of the day. I don't know if they have jobs. I'm not sure who these people are. Maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Anyone else?
I think the general theme here is to really just put yourself out there and give it a shot. Don't be afraid, because if fear is going to just keep you from doing and learning. And you know, specifically, I can't really speak to the blogging side of things. I can. Ryan had mentioned something to me about, in terms of Twitter. One of the ways I use Twitter when I travel a lot, I use a service called Brightkite or Foursquare, and I'll check in places. So I'll go to a restaurant and I can actually check in, and anyone that's following me can see that I happen to be at a restaurant or someplace local. And one of the reasons I do that is to, well, partially to remind myself where I've been, but also to sort of celebrate. I mean, one of the reasons we started this site to begin with was to celebrate local. And I think this is specific to brokerages and brokers especially. As a broker or real estate professional, your job is to know the local area better than anyone else and represent it. And you now have all of these resources from which you can really prove that you know a lot. And you can blog about your local block. You can have a video shot of your local neighborhood or yourself just walking into a restaurant, you name it. You can use Twitter to go to places and reference where you've been.